So there's a couple of things left to talk about. Should we The Mist?
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I was going to get you to guess which one of the two. So we got The Mist and Room 104, and then a show that only you've seen. And I was going to make you guess which one I was like insanely passionate about, and which one I was just like,
The Mist was meh, and Room 104 was insane passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've only seen a couple of episodes of Room 104.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing the other podcast tonight, and one of the reasons when I found out we were doing this one, I was a little bit like, it's because I wanted to fit some more Room 104 in.
Yes. Well, they've released 4 up to this date, maybe 5 now.
Yeah.
And I've seen 3. I think I've seen 3.
I've only seen 2.
2, sure.
All very good. Just on those 2 alone. What fantastic! Jess is bewildered to fuck. Jess just we finished watching it, and Jess is just like, huh? And I'm like, and that's not anything to do with her. Like, it's a weird show. It's like every episode, and the episodes are only 25 minutes long. It feels like a season of American Horror Story, but all set in one room,
and much more subtle. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
So it's an anthology series about a hotel room, with some episodes quite spooky, some episodes are quite funny. Although all the ones I've seen are kind of horror based. So whether I don't know how comical the comedy elements get later on. But every episode has different characters, different stories, but they all take place in this hotel room. It's a fucking great premise for a TV show.
So good that it's been happening on British television for literally, 5 years at this point, with Reece Shearsmith's and Pemberton's Inside Number 9. But anyway...
Oh really? Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know about that show. So.
Yeah, I don't. Those are the 2 guys from what do you call it? Aren't they? They were in Shearsmith's from like. Oh God, my mind is just League of Gentlemen and Psychoville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Yeah, they've been doing a very similar show with a slightly more comedic edge, but equally eerie and creepy in places. And they're all set inside rooms with the number 9 related to them, so they're not all the same set, but they are. The premise is very similar. Every episode is a different story. They based it on. Cool. They were inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which is the movie all set inside one room, and that each story could take place in just one room, and it could be a play, arguably, if you wanted it to be. And this is very similar to that. In fact, so much so that the creator, Reece Shearsmith of Inside Number 9, was like, what's all this Room 104 stuff about? ? On Twitter, which I thought was quite funny.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, you do watch it. Like, I kind of watched it going, I wish this was a play and I wish I wrote it.
Yeah.
Especially that...
No, go on, sorry.
Go on. Especially that first episode where there's... Is it spoiling to give a bit of the plot synopsis? Basically, because I won't tell you what happens, just the plot of the episode. And actually, there's trailers at the end of every one, so you may know this. A babysitter turns up, the dad leaves, and then the kid keeps coming in and out of the bathroom saying that he's 2 different kids. And we don't know whether it is 2 children, whether it's one kid and he's playing a joke, whether he's insane. We don't know any of that. And it's just such a simple, clever notion. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, if every episode has plots this simple but engaging, then this show is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And it's like, especially because it's 25 minutes, it's so painless to just put one on and just see what happens. Like, you don't need to remember shit. Like, that sounds so stupid. Like, you don't need to remember. Like, you can just watch. But I really do love it. I think it's really clever.
The 2 guys that created it, for those of you wondering, like, what's the tone of this show? I mean, I'm going to say 2 words, and you'll understand. It is from the Duplass brothers. Yeah. So you probably know if you watch a lot of films, you already know what you're in for with the show. I mean, the kings of mumblecore, doing a TV show. I mean, you can take from that what you will. I mean, I mostly became familiar with the Duplass brothers in 2013, 2014, when they released the one I Love, which is an incredible film, which actually also I think stars Mark Duplass, I think. And it's a partially improvised film, but the plot was all pre-done, and it's incredible. They were also involved in writing Safety Not Guaranteed, which is a film you've seen, Chris, which you quite liked.
Great film.
Yeah. And obviously Creep was their more famous one that they've had recently. But I know they're working on a few other stuff. And look, the DuPont brothers are great. I'm not going to do like a retrospective of their career, but the tone of this show is very much what they sort of do. It's eerie, it's unsettling. There's a Black Mirror vibe to it, particularly that first episode. And I think genuinely it's got the potential to become one of the greats. The first episode's brilliant, but I think the real test of this concept is going to be that they can continue to do it week to week.
Yeah, because episode 2 ends with a trailer for episode 3, and episode 3 didn't look that great. So is episode 3 great? Or?
I loved episode 3. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, cool.
But I've not seen it yet, but the reviews for episode 4 are that it's astounding.
I don't think they should have trailers for this show. Like,
no,
I just think
go in knowing,
go
in watching nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a really good show. Like it's got the potential to go from good to, incredible, maybe even potentially something even beyond that, like something potentially very special is happening here. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But again, it will all depend on their ability to be consistent. Because what makes Black Mirror great is it's managed to in every season blow us away with certain episodes. It doesn't mean every single episode is a hit. When I say consistent, I mean they need to be able to consistently produce great episodes throughout their run. They don't all need to be out the park, but they need to have enough of that to keep us coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Mist. So Room 104 is airing on HBO. I don't know what day. The Mist is it's a difficult one because
for context, have you read the book or seen the film?
No.
Okay.
I enjoyed The Mist. I did genuinely enjoy it. Not enough to make me like next episode. But I watched the first couple very quick next to each other because I was interested and because I was engaged. I like the idea, and other shows have done it, but I like the notion of this really supernatural plot coming out alongside a more
like grounded
pun,
like a more coming out alongside a grounded story.
Yeah, a more grounded dramatic plot. So that's a human plot. That's really interesting. There's nothing. It's just one of those shows where there's and I know I'm comparing it to because The Mist is Stephen King. Is that right?
Yes.
I know I'm comparing it to another Stephen King show, but it's the same thing for me as Under the Dome. Like, cool tone, cool characters, not necessarily enough to make me like, Under the Dome, what happens next? It's probably a little bit better than Under the Dome.
It's a lot better than Under the Dome. Under the Dome was kind of lame in the end.
I know you weren't a fan of Under the Dome, but there's just, I feel like I don't know what conversation we have that's different to any conversation we've had before, especially when, better than Under the Dome is a good summary for me of it.
Yeah, it is much better than Under the Dome in my opinion. It is, okay, so my perspective on this is I've never read the book, but I am a huge, huge fan. In fact, it's probably in my top 5 or 10 horror films of all time. The original, the Frank Darabont version that was released. Now, Frank Darabont, if those of you going, I recognise that name. He was the first showrunner for The Walking Dead, film director in his own right, and he actually directed the movie, which is infamous, if for nothing, but its ending. Maybe infamous in the right word. It's known for that ending, and it's a remarkable film. And I do recommend, if you're going to see that film, the way he intended to do it originally was black and white, and if you get it on Blu-ray, you can see it in black and white, and it is staggering. He shot it with the idea of those tones being present, and in the end they made him keep it in color because they didn't think it'd be commercially viable, blah blah blah. But it's really effective in black and white, and it is a really powerful film, and it's exactly what Chris is talking about. Like, lots of character drama and the situation forcing that drama to come out, and it's really well done. And then, of course, there's the ending, which I've mentioned. It's a really good film. Like I said, one of my top 10. So the show comes along, and I'm excited, but I'm also trepidatious because, of course, adaptations of things you love, not always a good thing. I like the show. I think it has represented the book more than it's represented the film, tonally. You know, and the premise, for those who don't know, is there's mist and there's Googars in the mist, and you don't know what the Googars are or how they work or what they do, and it's kind of terrifying because you can't see nothing when you go in there. But when people go in the mist, the bad shit happens, and they're all trapped in, you know, various locations, and we sort of flip between them as their character stories play out. In the film, it's actually they focus on one location and group people trapped in that location, but it's what they've done here in the show to keep it a bit more interesting is they've separated the characters into three and then two locations. And it's I'm enjoying the show. I'm not that far in. It's nearly over, actually. It's nearly on episode 10, but I've only seen up to 3, maybe 4. I really like it, but I don't love it because I just think like it's not doing anything particularly new. There's nothing about this show that's going to surprise you. This is pretty straightforward television horror. So while I recommend it, if you're already watching loads of stuff and you want more stuff to watch and horror is kind of your thing and you like The Mist, either the book or the film, then I would say hop on board. But if there are other if you're not yet watching Room 104 and you're not yet watching, I don't know, fucking Game of Thrones or any of the other big sort of hitters, you know, I would put this on a back burner. But again, if you watch pretty much everything and you've not yet seen this, I definitely think this is, and you're looking for something new, this is a totally worthy way to spend a couple hours of your time. It's engaging. The characters are interesting. The drama's quite good. The situations that they've used to sort of make these characters at each other's throats before even the horror shit happens is pretty well done, and it's pretty believable. Not believable. It's pretty like it's pretty gripping. You're engaged. You get pulled into the drama of it. So it's done a real good job with that. I've heard some mixed things about later episodes in the season from previous reviews, so I'll be interested to watch the whole season and report back if any of that ends up being true, Chris. Because you never know. Maybe it gets shit. Maybe it jumps a shark, literally. Maybe they wander into the mist and all it is the Fonz jumping over a shark.
That would be stunning.
Best show ever, right?
I agree completely with that review.